Okay, so Walter Paternon, he continues to go through the mind and to think about if anything can really be trusted, because he feels like, if everything out there is moving, then you're kind of locked in your own head, but everything in your head is moving too. So what can you hold on to? Because he doesn't really believe in a soul and in God and all of these things. And that was one of the reasons people found this upsetting, but not the real reason. All right. Experience, meaning your thoughts about the outside world, already reduced to a group of impressions, right? It was really just a bunch of atoms, is ringed around for each one of us by that thick wall of personality through which no real voice has ever pierced on its way to us, or from us to that which we can only conjecture to be without. So it's just like, you're in your own head all the time and you don't even know if other people are real. Um, every one of those impressions is the impression of the individual in his isolation, each mind keeping as a solitary prisoner its own dream of a world. See, the world is just a dream in your head, and everybody has one like that if other people are even real. Analysis, meaning if you break things down more, analysis goes a step farther still and assures us that those impressions of the individual mind to which, for each one of us, experience dwindles down are in perpetual flight, that each of them is limited by time, and that time is infinitely divisible, and each of them is infinitely divisible also, all that is actual in it being a single moment, gone while we try to apprehend it, of which it may be ever more truly said that it has ceased to be than that it is. So he feels like life is just moments. There's no eternal soul. He says time is infinitely divisible, and each of them is infinitely all that is actual in life. In it being a single moment. The only thing you know is real is a moment, because the past is just a memory and the future is just something you think about. But the only thing that's real is the individual moment right now. Gone, and it goes so quick. It's gone while we try to apprehend it, of which it may ever be more truly said it has ceased to be than that it is. So the moment is kind of slipping away from you all the time. You can't hold on to it. To such a tremulous wisp constantly reforming itself on a stream, to a single sharp impression, with sense in it, a relic more or less fleeting of such moments gone by, what is real in our life finds itself down. So what's real is this tiny little sliver of an individual moment, because the past isn't real, the past is gone. Future isn't real, it's not here yet. The future is a dream, the past is a memory. It is analysis that leaves off. It is with this movement, with the passage and dissolution of impressions, images, sensation, that analysis leaves off. That continual vanishing away, that strange, perpetual weaving and unweaving of ourselves. That's one of the most beautiful phrases anybody's ever written. He describes human beings as that continual vanishing away, that strange, perpetual weaving and unweaving of ourselves. That we're constantly dissolving and then putting ourselves back together, and dissolving and putting ourselves back together, because the mind is in constant motion, and it's moving and flowing like water, like fire is really his example. So this is paid. The first two paragraphs that he has. He's basically says, again, the church, people were told the world was 5,000 years old. Turns out it's way older than that. People thought the Bible was written by one person, maybe God, and it turns out it was written by hundreds of people over 800 years. And people were told that human beings were special, and they're not. They're just monkeys with big brains. And Pater says, is there anything solid? Let's see if we can find something stable out in the world. Nope. How about your mind? Anything stable in here? Nope. And by the way, I think Hamlet would agree that the mind is not stable and the world is not stable either. Right? That the world is just this corrupt, it's an unweeded garden gone to seed, it's all ruined. And that Hamlet's mind is obviously not stable either, he's crazy. So this is Pater. The first part, two paragraphs, set up a problem. There's nothing solid out there in the world, and there's nothing solid in here in your mind. Try to grasp a moment, it slips away. And the past is gone. You're never going to get it back. In the future, it's just something, it's not here. So you're barely here. You're this wisp perpetually forming and reforming itself. The strange weaving and unweaving of ourselves. Okay, let's keep going. To philosophize, says Novalis, is to cast away inertia. So he says basically the philosophy is exciting for you. So he says the service of philosophy, of speculative culture, towards the human spirit is to rouse, to startle it to a life of constant and eager observation. So he says the thing about philosophy that it does speculative culture, to thinking about things and seeing things. And what does it do for the human spirit? It rouses you, it startles you to a life of constant and eager observation. Philosophy helps you notice shit. It helps you see things. It helps you notice stuff. It's exciting. And that's the purpose of philosophy, is when you study philosophy, you will notice more things. You take a class like this, you read all these philosophers, I promise, the whole point of this course is that you will now notice all of these things you didn't notice before because these philosophers have helped you to see it. So Pater says, every moment some form grows perfect in hand or face. Some tone on the hills or the sea is choicer than the rest. Some mood of passion or insight or intellectual excitement is irresistibly real and attractive to us for that moment only. Right? So he says every moment there's something amazing, but it's just amazing for that one moment. He says not the fruit of experience, but experience itself is the end. Not the fruit of experience, but experience itself is the end. He says you're not on the journey to get somewhere. The journey is the point. You're not trying to find something. You're just trying to look at the things along the way. Not the fruit of experience, but experience itself is the end. Not the result of the process, but the process itself is the point. The looking, the seeing, the noticing, that's the point. You're not trying to do anything with it or get anywhere. And then he talks about how short life is. A counted number of pulses only is given to us of a variegated dramatic life. How may we see in them all that is to be seen in them by the finest senses? How shall we pass most swiftly from point to point, and be present always at the focus where the greatest number of vital forces unite in their purest energy? So he says, okay, if life is only these fleeting moments that we have to kind of experience and notice things in it, how do we do that? Like, how, our lives are so short. So what are we going to do to see and notice the most interesting things, to be present always, the focus where the greatest number of vital forces unite in their purest energy? How may we pass most swiftly from point to point, from amazing thing to amazing thing? Given that nothing is stable and the only thing that matters is these very brief individual moments, how do we be there for those moments? Like, how do we do that? And he defines being able to be there for them. He says life has these perfect moments, but they go away so quick. How are we going to notice them? How are we going to be there for those moments? In the next paragraph, he begins, to burn always with this hard gem-like flame, to maintain this ecstasy is success in life. So if you can keep having these moments, that is success. In a sense, it might even be said that our failure is to form habits. For after all, habit is relative to a stereotyped world, and meantime, it is only the roughness of the eye that makes any two persons, things, situations seem alike. Right? That, like, if you get in a habit, you just do the same thing over and over again, and then you stop noticing shit. So he says habits are bad. While all melts under our feet, we may well grasp at any exquisite passion or any contribution to knowledge that seems by a lifted horizon to set the spirit free for a moment, or any stirring of the senses, strange dyes, strange colors, and curious odors, or work of the artist's hands, or face of one's friend. It's just like all these interesting things to notice, and he's kind of listing them off. And when you see something perfect, even if it's just a color or a sound or a facial expression, it sets you free just for a moment. Not to discriminate. Discriminate here means notice details. We use discrimination to mean racial discrimination. It means that you care about the details of skin color for purposes of deciding if someone is intelligent. But there's good discrimination, which is when you're able, like if you're discriminating about wine, you notice the differences between one bottle of wine and another. So he says, you got to notice, you got to discriminate, you got to notice these little details, the colors, the dyes, the senses, the odors, the face of your friend, the work of an artist's hands. You got to pay attention to this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna pick this up in the next video because the next sentence I think is my favorite sentence in the whole thing.